Hey! Oh my
Hey, man.
gosh! How are you?
Good to
Wow.
see you. That's okay. We'll just do this. That's all right.
Oh my gosh! This is so exciting.
Thank you so much for being here.
This is very extra. I like it.
Yeah, it's very
This wall.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little overdone, but you know what?
This
That's
is
what
my
we do.
dream. This is what I would want for myself.
Maybe you're dreaming right now.
Yeah.
Maybe this is you've gone to sleep.
This is my dream, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm pretty boring, so you will probably fall asleep.
Okay, great. Sounds
that's
good.
what's gonna happen.
Okay, perfect.
So that's exactly what's gonna happen. But you're welcome to walk around, do whatever you
Are we
like.
gonna play ping pong?
We are going to play ping pong.
Okay, fine.
But we're probably gonna go to the booth first.
Okay, cool.
And so you can have your Diet Coke.
Okay, great. Perfect. I will
then-
follow you.
So one of our guests had talked about, Misha Youssef had this theory that if you came to this country before the age of 12, you were able to shed your accent.
Ooh, yes, this is a juicy topic.
Is it? Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, no, I love
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, her theory
I had her
was...
at 14, but
Okay.
yeah, that sounds kind of right.
What is it about that? That's just formative, your muscle?
Well, first of all, I didn't speak like this, whatever this is, when I came here. I came here when I was 18.
Right. And you're 32.
32 now, yeah.
Almost half your life.
Yes, exactly. Oof. And here we are.
I'm already aging in 4 years. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I was really, I didn't speak like this. And then the way I did it was I was a huge fan of the OC, the TV show. That's what led me to apply to school in California because like,
You want to go to Irvine?
yes, I wanted to go to Irvine. I saw it on, like we used to watch the OC on DVD because it didn't air on TV there. Like one of the cool kids' parents used to work in America part-time, so got the box set and then it got like passed around everyone in like my high school and they're like, you gotta watch the show. And then I just became obsessed with California, specifically the OC. Like, what is this? So then I applied to all these schools in California, got into USC, came here, and then I was like really conscious of my accent then because I started doing a little bit of theater and stuff, and I would just literally watch the show repeat lines the way those characters spoke. And then I got into This American Life, and I would download episodes on my iPod, and just when I was walking to class, just out loud, would repeat everything everyone was saying.
And you would try to mimic the accent.
Yeah, and I'm really bad at accents. Like even now when someone's like, can you do British? I can't do anything. So, because I feel like Indians can't do anything. Like,
Just generally.
yeah, we're so, like, you see Australians and they can mimic any accent.
They're so
I don't
good.
like look at Indians and I'm like, you guys are they're good at that. Like,
You mean accents or anything?
accents? No,
Okay.
Indians are great
I was
at
gonna say,
stuff.
we're
Oh
doing
my
a
god,
few
no,
things.
we're so great. But
Yeah.
like, anything that is like performance related, like we're not really born for that. I feel.
Like if you grew up with an Indian accent.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's just so ingrained in you. I feel so.
Because they don't really do it in Bollywood. I'm not saying you're a Bollywood actor, but I'm saying I don't think
they
that
do
you
it at all.
generally
And then you
them
see like
playing.
Bollywood actors, like that except for Priyanka, who try to come here, and it's very hard for them to shed the accent.
Yeah.
It's like not like a skill I feel like we naturally have, but somehow one day mine was just whatever this is now. And
You're
so-
sort of on your way. Do you think you'll end up sounding like me?
No, this is
is
as good as
resting.
it's gonna get.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like the stasis.
And I feel very like sometimes someone will be like, I heard it.
Right.
Like and
Right.
I'll just feel in the beginning pre-therapy. I used to be like,
It would.
You saw me.
Yeah. Exposed for what I really am.
But now I'm like, sure, you heard it.
You felt like
I had a rich life there. I
Eddie
lived there for
Murphy
18
in,
years. Yeah.
In Nutty Professor, where the lip like has just like he becomes fat again.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah,
He just like puts it back in.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah. But now I have pride with it. I'm like, this is good. I'm fine with it.
You got a cool voice. You probably get that a lot.
Yeah, I get that a lot when I got a voiceover agent who would just obsessively be like, you have the voice. I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
They're like, for making mediocre paychecks sometimes, doing
Well, that's good.
cartoons. And I'm like, that sounds great.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
That's totally a thing.
Yeah.
So you came here when you were 18. You came from Delhi mein
Yes.
directly to OC.
No, to USC.
To USC.
Which I wanted to go to the OC, so I applied to UC Irvine. That was my dream school.
Yeah, I read about that.
Which has like a very low international acceptance rate.
Because it's a state school.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so it's already hard to go from out of state, and then they really only take the geniuses, which I was not that smart. But
Do you think anyone at your school could have gotten in your high school?
yeah. There was definitely like a few people that could have gotten
Okay.
to UC Irvine, but I think they went to like Oxford or something. So
Oh, wow.
They
Okay.
aimed higher.
Okay. Well, but I mean, they weren't in the OC.
They weren't in the OC.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember going
Well,
to
Oxford College.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. There's that.
But yeah, I really wanted to go to UC Irvine, and then I came to USC, and then someone was like, I was like, yeah, I love the OC, and they were like, Josh Schwartz, the creator, went to USC, and I was like, what? And then they were like, oh, like the show didn't shoot in Irvine, like it shot in LA. I was like, what? And then I was like, wait, I'm actually in the OC, like I'm living in the city where this is happening. And then one time, I convinced someone with a car to drive me to UC Irvine. I think my first spring break, freshman year.
You must have made a really good friend.
Yeah.
Willing to drive you from LA to Irvine.
Yeah, I was like, let's go to South Coast Plaza, which is like the mall that they reference on the
Yeah.
OC, and it was just a lame mall.
Yeah.
And UC Irvine sucked compared to USC, and I was like, and I just had this moment of like, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
This is the right,
Yeah. You're in the true fake place.
Yes.
Instead of the real fake place.
So Hollywood, I'm in the true fake place.
True
Yeah.
true religion, which is impressive.
Exactly.
And then you've been in since theater and all that, and then you've been here, and you've been in LA the whole time, in California the whole time?
Yeah, so since
14 years.
2007, yeah.
See, it came out and said 2000.
There we
it
go.
is. I picked up on it.
I feel so good.
You're
I don't
home.
feel-
You are
yeah,
amongst your people
yeah,
here.
I don't feel judged or weak or less than at all.
Nor should you.
Yeah.
Do you feel more then?
No, let's not go crazy.
Can you tell me a job that you've done where you really, I want you to brag and then I want you to put your tail between your legs. So give me one where you just killed it. You just bodied it. And then give me another one where you're like, gosh, that was really painful. I really screwed that up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I have both. Yeah, the one where I really killed it was I acted on the show called Room 104.
Mm-hmm. You directed an episode too.
I directed, in season 4, but season 1
Your episode was the first one I happened to see
of
that show. I just happened to turn it on and
was
see
acting
it.
in or directing?
Acting in.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it. I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh,
it's a very
is it
bizarre
about South
show.
Asians or whatever?
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it wasn't.
yeah.
It was more expansive than that. But yeah, it was really cool. You were great in it.
Thanks. Yeah, it was actually, for people that don't know, they shoot that show very low budget. So we shot that in 2 days, which normally a 30-minute television episode is 5 shooting days.
Sure.
So that was very condensed. And then I wasn't the original choice for that. So someone else was going to do that part.
Do you want to say who? You could say who, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know.
We didn't put rum in this, right? It's just, okay, I was going to get it out of you.
No, it's too soon for me to reveal these secrets. But anyway,
a few more sessions of therapy.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Then I'll be an open book.
Okay.
But yeah, it was someone else, and then they had a scheduling conflict. So then 2 p.m. the day before, Mark Duplass, who's one of the creators of that show, who is kind of my mentor in the biz, called, and he was basically like, hey, we have no actor to do this thing. I'm going to send you a script if you're available, tomorrow and Friday to do this thing. And I was like, we'd worked together in 2001 on this movie, and then we had not worked together.
That wasn't Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah,
it was. That was your big breakout.
Yeah,
Yes.
straight out of college, I'd worked with him, and then we had never done anything else together. And it had been 5 years, and I don't know if you have this feeling where you've worked with someone and they are very prolific and always making things, and you're like, my phone hasn't rung. But you've made 10 things since we made our last thing, so do you just not like me? Or there was pre-therapy insecurities happening there.
Well, I go through that with social stuff. I haven't seen you since. I threw a bunch of
you've had
parties.
many get-togethers.
I'm just invited. Oh, I'm invited to these.
Sure.
With 100 people, not 10.
Yeah,
Okay,
where I have to
talking
bring something.
Yeah,
I have to bring a dish.
I gotta
That's
park
the one I'm
cars.
invited to. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's what had happened with him, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do whatever. And then he was like, no, just look at the script. It's a lot of work. And so then I opened it, and the episode is just me on the phone for 30 minutes. So I had 30 pages of dialogue and no other actor for them to cut to, which normally you can save yourself if they have something else to cut to. So I was just like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But I just dove in to be like, well, I've been complaining about this to myself in my head, and now here it is. So either I do it or I don't. And
so this is 30 pages of dialogue for tomorrow.
Well, 2 days, so 15
Okay.
pages a day, which,
Okay.
and not only just dialogue, but then you have to act it out.
Oh, you don't just say the words.
Yeah, to
Oh,
memorize
that's right.
it.
Yeah,
And
I
then
forgot
one
about
thing
that
to
part.
be like, oh, I'm finding
get
out
there.
that in the episode I'm adopted, and I'm finding that out at the age of 30 on the phone, and it's all these other things are happening, and so it's having to do that. And so
How'd you do that?
I don't know. It was like a fever dream. I did my first all-nighter. I never did all-nighter in college. And then
I still never stayed up for 24 hours in a row.
Yeah, it's not for me. I need to sleep. But this one, I was like, there's no other way. So I just did that. And then I killed it the first day, and everyone was really impressed and feeling it. And then I was like, guys, I haven't slept in like 36 hours. So tonight I will need to sleep, and I have not even looked at tomorrow's work.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so then they were very kind. They had like the cue card situation, which I didn't end up having to use, but it was.
So you were off book again,
I don't
2
know
in a
what
row.
happened. I don't know if it's happened to you, but you're in fight or flight, and you're like, I'm just like all in, and you're just activated, and
You just do it.
You just do it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my worst one, let's see. Well, the worst experience I've ever had was actually my first job.
Oh.
It was an MTV TV movie. You know the name, right?
I do know the name. I don't know if you want to say the name.
Worst
Yeah.
prom ever? You're all fans. That's why I'm here.
Oh, huge. Just massive.
The
yeah.
residuals keep coming.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my first job. I played the guy who gets dumped for prom before prom. I think that was literally my entire arc in that movie. But
Deep.
it's shot in New Orleans, and I had never been on a set, or I was still in college. I was a junior in college, and I didn't. It was a night shoot,
Okay.
which I didn't know what the hell that meant, and it means you have to stay up all night. And
That's what I would have
Yeah.
assumed based on the words.
yeah, I like to go to bed at 9 p.m., so that was like, I was not mentally prepared. I woke up at 6 a.m. in like my Holiday Inn Express where I was staying, thanks MTV, and I was just like, let's go to work, and they're like, we'll pick you up at 8 p.m. And so I remember I went to see a movie,
Yeah.
Morning Glory, with
Okay.
Rachel McAdams was
Okay.
playing across the street at the theater. I went to Subway, I like had my little lines. Then at 8 p.m. I got picked up, went there, and I was in a honey wagon, which for people that don't know is like the smallest trailer, like probably like yay.
It's not even really a trailer.
Yeah, it's just like a little changing room, I guess. But mine was next to the porta potty, so it smelled like shit all
Quite
night.
literally.
And so
So it was the worst prom ever.
it was the worst prom ever, yeah. And I was in there, and it was like, whatever, 8 p.m., and then they did my makeup, and then they were like, go back in your room, and then we'll come get you. And I was so scared. I'd never been on a set. I was like, I didn't know there was craft service or food, or I could go out and get fresh air. So I just
And
sat
you didn't
in
bring
there.
anything. You didn't bring a book.
I had a flip phone, so it's
Yeah,
like
did you have one of
pretty.
these?
Yeah, that looks familiar, like the third one.
Okay. It must be ingrained in your memory because
Yeah.
I think I heard it. So you had 14 hours and you didn't bring anything to do.
Yes, exactly. And I didn't bring a book. And then all my friends from college were texting me being like, is it so fun? Because we were all in theater school, and they were like, you're going to be on TV. And I was like, it's so fun. Like, just completely lying and just pretending like I was having the best time. And I just sat there and smelled shit all night. And then I didn't know, they forgot that I was still there. So no one came to get me when it was lunch, aka like 3 a.m. when everyone had lunch or dinner.
Right.
And so I just sat there, didn't eat, and was wide awake. You know, when you're like, I can't relax. Because
Yeah. 'cause
what if they call me? And I was
What
so
if they're knocking
nervous.
really light and I missed the whole thing?
Yeah.
Like, you just get so paranoid.
And then it was like 9 a.m. or something, and the guy who cleans the trailers like opened the door, and he was like, everyone's gone home. I was like, what? And so,
So you didn't shoot that night?
And so I was there for 3 nights, and they were doing block shooting, which I didn't know any of these terms. It basically means like they were doing all the prom scenes, and I was in one corner of the prom, and they just decided in the morning, like, let's have everyone come, and then we'll decide like who we need. And they knew they didn't need me, but no one, told me because it was chaotic and whatever. But I didn't know to ask or be like, hey, it's been like 12 hours. Like, am I gonna?
This is like those Japanese soldiers who still thought World War II was going on, and they stayed on that island for like
that's
years.
an extreme thing to what happened to me, but yes, sure. I
It's
feel
exactly
that. I've
like
been
that.
to war. Yeah, I went to war. And I was
Well, it
still
smelled
stuck
like
in-
shit.
It smelled like shit.
it
Yeah,
sounds
it wasn't comfortable.
pretty bad at the time, yeah.
And then so that was that. And then the second night, the same thing happened. But then like at 2 a.m., they did let me go home because they knew enough to be like, okay, we're not gonna get to you. And then the final night, I think I shot all my scenes in like 40 minutes, and it was just fine. But it was just such a bad experience because I was lying to the world, being like, I'm having the best time, because that's what you're supposed to think it is,
Right.
And so I was just telling all my friends, like, oh my God, it's so fun. And just like lying out of my mouth. And then also the kid from Spy Kids was the lead of the movie. And I
Oh, yeah.
loved Spy Kids.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why I used to lie so much when I was out of insecurity. I would just lie and I was just like, oh my God, like we're gonna hang out in LA, we're gonna go to the Grove. Like I was texting my friends, just making up stories. Like that guy didn't even talk to me. Like,
Yeah.
and so I was just like making up like all these things that were happening, and it was so stupid.
It sounds like that was a better plot than the movie. You had more of a backstory to that, I think.
Yeah. To me, the biggest celebrity, Ben McKenzie, you know who that is? The lead of the OC.
Oh, well, how could I forget?
How could I forget?
Yeah,
So I've met
how could I
him
forget?
twice in real life. I was very obsessed with the show. Now I was junior year of college, and I was sort of thought of myself as a Californian by this point. So I was like, whatever, I'm cool. And then I was in this TV class at USC where every week they would bring a TV show that you would analyze. They would show an episode, and then the cast or creator or producers of that show would show up. I mean, it was just like so privileged and crazy. At the time, we were like, what? One of the people who came was George R.R. Martin before Game of Thrones came out, but it was shooting at the time, and I remember no one really cared, because other than like the nerds who were like, I love these books, the show's gonna be huge. And so anyways, we had these like sort of like big people that would come, and so Ben was on the show called Southland at the time, and so he came, they were like doing, and Regina King and like all these people who were on that show came, but I saw in the email the previous week, like they would send you who was coming if you wanted to research or for the Q&A later if you had questions. And I just like right away went back to being like 16 and like freaking out, being like, oh my God, like he's gonna be here. And so I went early to the class. I sat like right in the front center, and then because I knew like where the chairs would be, where the people would be, and then he just happened to be right in front of me. And I have this like condition called hyperhidrosis where I sweat out of my palms.
Oh, which most people can't.
Yeah, it's really bad for me. And so
Except Eminem.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy.
I really stepped into that.
We were right there.
Yeah. And so I was basically like, my sweaty palms were just, I was wiping them on my pants, and I was just like freaking out. And then over like the hour, like I went through the whole thing in my head that I had a whole conversation with him where I was like, you know what, I don't need to go speak to him. Like this is enough. Like I'm fine. Like I don't need to shake his hand. Like I just went through this whole cycle of like, I'm good. And so the whole panel ended, and I was like, I was happy with being like, this is fine. Like I got to see him in real life, like cool, this is so cool. And then I was walking out of the classroom, and then I just suddenly was like, no, I must shake his hand. So then I turned around, but my hands were like just drenched. And I turned around, and he was talking, I remember, to like a hot sorority type girl, and clearly was enjoying his conversation. And I literally just shoved her aside. And I was like, hi. And he, you know, didn't really want to shake my hand, and then I just really insisted. And then I saw him wince at like how wet my hand was. And then I was like, the OC changed my life. And which is like so
From what to what?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I know.
And then he was like, oh, and like he had just done the panel where he was happy talking about like another show, and he was like talking about how he was happy to be known for something other than the OC. I was like, I don't care. Like, let's be real. We're all thinking about the OC. So, you know, I did
Go
that
back to your first album.
Yeah, and so he was kind of like, oh my God. And then and he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, and he didn't give the reaction I think I wanted. So then I shook his hand even harder, and I was like, no, you don't understand. The OC changed my life. And then he was like, okay, like that's cool. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, I was like, I ended up here because of the show.
Yeah.
And he was so confused, like, ended up where? And so he was like, okay, man, that's cool. And then that was it. And I was like, thanks. And then I walked away. And then, you know, when you have that feeling where you're like, I shouldn't have said anything, and like why did, and right away I was just like, that was a disaster. And then cut to many years later, he's married to one of the actors in Deadpool. So we were at the Deadpool 2 premiere, and I met him at the urinal. He was urinating next to me.
So it could be less awkward this time. Yeah, okay.
And then this time he said hi to me, and I just pretended to not like tell the other story or whatever, but then I was just like, cool, yeah. I was like, yo, nice to meet you. But that was that, so we had a full circle.
You didn't tell him, you didn't confess?
No, we were in the urinal, like it's like, you know, I was nervous, it was all, yeah. But it was like a nice full circle.
That is very full circle.
Yeah, we met at a urinal again, and we were not peers, but you know, we were somewhere in there.
Right, it was somewhere during that time.
Yeah.
So we've gone from poop to piss, so
Yes,
this is good. This
exactly.
interview is getting better. I appreciate this. This is really good.
Yeah,
You're moving away from the porta potty. What has your celebrity afforded you? Do you feel like you've gotten anything because you're like, oh, I'm Karan Soni? Like, there's something that happened that you're like, oh, I don't think that would have happened if I were still...
Yeah, cops really like me.
Cops like you.
Yeah, because I think they like Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
You get out of tickets?
I haven't like. Yeah, it's hard with the mask. Like I just got a ticket recently.
Oh.
And I
For
haven't-
speeding?
No, for I guess like I didn't know this, but I've been doing it for years and no one has caught me. I guess, but I was speaking on speakerphone but holding the phone.
Oh, yeah. You can't
I guess
do
it
that.
has to be on your lap, whatever. And so that's for little infringements, people have been like, yeah, it's okay.
We'll let it
which
go.
is nice. And then also like the other, this is all just Deadpool benefits, but like also every time I worked in the South and stuff, where I'm a little bit like nervous to be there, people are really nice to me.
Oh, that's
again,
pretty cool.
They like that, so they like that movie.
So you really got all your bullying out of the way in high school. Maybe
Yeah.
that was your Karan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I said it the real way. I didn't even
I
say
was like,
karma.
wow,
I went all in.
yeah,
I went
Yeah,
all
yeah.
in, yeah.
Impressive.
Do you get stopped on the street? People say stuff to you, or do they quote Deadpool to you, or do they,
Yeah. I get a lot of like people walk by and be like,
yeah.
and then I'm gone. I've disappeared into the night. But I did initially when I started working, I got a lot of bazinga.
Right.
Because they thought I have never been on The Big Bang Theory, but they thought
you
they
were Raj.
recognized Kunal.
Okay.
But they were like Indian face.
Yeah.
It must be that show that I watch all the time.
Right.
And then do the process goes, bazinga, and
Yeah.
I would just be like, yeah, and like just again too sad to be like, no, it wasn't me. But I would get a lot of bazinga. But that's really died down, which is when you know you're making it.
Yeah.
And you're not just getting just generic bazingas all the time.
Right. That
And
is
you get more
upgrading.
just like like a little bit of that.
Do you feel like you perform for anyone's approval, like even subconsciously, or is there like
Oh,
a
yeah.
okay? Who are these people that you're trying to
Well, in
impress?
therapy, we've discovered that I only got into this because I wanted to be accepted by the world, not to get deep. But I've slowly
No, get
realized
deep. Let's go.
that I have like a genuine passion for it that's different. I think I initially got into it partially because I wanted to be accepted.
Okay.
Because I'm gay and I grew up in a very anti-gay culture.
Okay.
And so I think I was very sort of like traumatized by that. But genuinely now I have like a huge passion. Like I always loved watching, like I remember like when I watched movies, like I would always watch the behind the scenes. Like I've always been obsessed with this industry, whether I had like voiced that or not. But I think initially I definitely got in being like, this seems like I'll be like cool and it'll be cool and I'll be like known and people want to be my friend and all that stuff. Slowly that has died away, but I think a lot of people still have that in our biz.
Is that a driver for a lot of people to get into it, or even if they're not aware of it?
I notice it a lot.
Yeah.
I notice that a lot. But yeah, it was definitely for me, but I've luckily, once I was already in it, been like, oh, I actually genuinely really like the art of making this. It's so hard because like, how would you know? Because I had never been on a set. I didn't understand like,
Right.
what that is. But I love this weird gypsy life of working with this crew, like, and make, like, my favorite thing is like becoming friends with the crew and like sort of like making something together, and like the fact that like, especially when you work in comedy, like people will watch something if they're going through a hard time, like especially during COVID, like, you know, like everyone was just watching The Office and it's like, we need The Office to
Yeah,
get through
right.
this like nightmare.
Right.
And so there's such a like value in like doing sort of that. I guess, yeah, going back to like, if anytime someone said something good, it's like, yeah, when they were going through something hard and they watch something funny and they'll say that or whatever. But like, you know, growing up in India, like I only watched studio movies in Bollywood.
Sure.
So like I only saw white people like on screen. And so it was like, it is crazy now like to think about like how that is mostly what the world is seeing. There's a lot of power in what we make and put out and
Oh,
stuff.
100%.
And like, that's kind of cool that it can help, you know, shape culture and stuff. It
That's
doesn't
what's
just
up.
feel like you're doing it in a bubble.
You want to play ping pong?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So have you ever heard the quote, "The best paintings have already been painted"?
Yeah, I have heard that actually recently.
What do
Where
you-
did I hear that?
Yeah, it's weird when that happens. Like, the Douglas-Kruger effect or whatever it is when you when you
Yeah.
start noticing something. Do you think that's true for acting?
No.
You think the best is still to come?
Yeah. Because I think like so many actors have not even been given the chance to like be on screen.
Right.
So it's like so many like Native American and
Sure.
like even Indian, and like I'm like there's so many like I look at Tiffany Haddish and I'm just like whatever she's doing has not been done before.
Right.
And I
Right.
really like it, but it's
Yeah.
like cool that like, I think there's so much to be done there, yeah.
That's really interesting. So she had been grinding at stand-up forever. She was in a sketch that we wrote a long time ago.
Oh,
She's
really?
in it for 2 seconds. She plays my girlfriend.
Oh my God,
And-
I did a movie with her and I literally I cannot like,
Yeah.
she was just the funniest person.
She's so funny.
But she's still so humble and she just, yeah. I
That's so
really-
sweet. You talked about art changing the world or having that kind of effect. I always say that it was Brokeback Mountain because
Yeah, every
we-
generation has this thing. Like my boyfriend didn't come out until Call Me by Your Name. For
Oh,
whatever
right.
reason, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one that did it. But yeah,
I saw that movie too. Yeah, we were in Chicago. The Sethials are very into the Oscars.
I
And
see.
So we were like, okay, you know, the Oscars are Sunday or whatever it was, and we're like, okay, you know what? We have a down day. Why don't we just go see a couple of movies that we haven't seen? We got to see them all nominated because we're all gay, and so we're like, we're just gonna go do this.
did you guys know what it was about?
I did, and then the only two people who hadn't seen it were my dad and I. We were just moving around so much, then finally it was like, I'm sitting in the theater next to my dad about to watch Brokeback Mountain, like, what just happened?
Right.
And then it happens, and this is before Rakesh came out.
Oh
and,
my God, it must have been terrifying.
I kind of looked over at him at the end when I go, what did you think? And he goes, you know, it's a beautiful love story. It just happened to be between two men.
Oh,
So it is kind of like a cute, now you might get some people being like, well, that doesn't sum up like the self-loathing and all the other stuff, but his sentiment was right.
yeah,
right?
that's really sweet.
I thought it was, yeah. The power.
My parents had like a 6-month gestating process,
Mm-hmm.
which is like nothing in comparison to a lot of people, but
Sure.
now they're very supportive.
What made them come around?
I
Just
think
time?
just time. Well, what really my story is kind of crazy. So I came out when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
I came back for Christmas break from USC.
Okay.
And it just blurted out of me because
Oh, wow.
I had told some people at college.
Uh-huh.
I saw my first like same-sex couple at USC, like a lesbian couple, holding hands in the quad, and I'm like, they're gonna get stoned, and like nothing happened, and I was like,
Right.
oh, what's going on here? That's like where I came from. I was like, they're gonna be murdered in front of me right now for holding hands. And then I just sort of opened up a little bit in college, and it went well, and then I just blurted it out to my mom, who I was very close to, even though I planned not to say anything. And then she was like, I'm gonna go get your father.
Wow.
And then my dad has his own business, or had his own business, and he works 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And it was like a weekday, and he didn't go to work, and I had never seen him my whole life not go to work. And
Right.
so then they went on the internet, and they were like, you're gonna get AIDS, and it was like really bad. And they were helping me pay for college, and they were like, you're not going back to school. And then they looked up a conversion type
Oh,
thing
wow.
in Delhi, and it was like all going really bad. And then I don't know what in me was just like,
It was really expensive, and they were like, forget it.
you know, I know, they were like, actually, I was like, I'll go to therapy instead, because therapy is considered, I don't know how it is now, but
Oh,
it was
yeah.
considered very like taboo.
Stigma. Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just go there, and like, instead of this conversion thing. And then they were like, yeah, because you're like sick in the head or whatever. So I went to this therapist, and it's like a roll of the dice in India, I guess, but she was very progressive. And
Yeah.
she was just like, after the first session, she's like, there's nothing wrong with you. She's like, I need to speak to your family. And I was
Okay.
like, they're not gonna come here. And she's like, I'll just basically say I'm giving a diagnosis in person or something. So she got them in there.
Wow.
And then she basically just schooled them and was like, this is what it is, like blah, blah, blah. And then she said to me, like, it's taken you 4 years to say these words out loud. So you have to at least give them the same amount of time. And you have to be
Right.
patient for that time, because they've known you since you were a baby. And they've projected like things onto what they thought your life was gonna be. And when you first come out, like, I don't know if it was for your brother, but like, you just want to be accepted, because you're like, I've accepted myself.
Sure.
And then when people are like, no, it's like heartbreaking. So you're mad, you get very angry, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, no, like, because you've already processed the anger you had towards
Sure.
yourself. And so it's very frustrating to have to get that response back. And so it taught me to be like, oh, I do have to be patient, I guess. But
Right.
luckily it wasn't 4 years for me. But within 6 months, I remember they just called me and they were like, we're cool with it.
Wow.
But I don't know what they did in that time. And I kind of didn't ask, because I was like, let's not shake this boat.
Yeah, was the impetus. And they didn't think it was because you went to California.
They did.
South Asian community, and or, I know, it's a real quick one, and or I know you're making a movie, but which South Asian project has not happened but should?
Oh, those are good questions. I didn't see my role as anything but just paying rent for myself.
Sure.
Doing this job.
And being cool.
And being cool and accepted. But yeah, it was really after Deadpool 1 that when I got so many messages after that, and I was like, oh.
Right.
People are like very starved for like representation and stuff. So I think a lot more about that now, and like just anything that I feel, if it feels good to me, like the way it's represented, then I'm all for it. And so yeah, I feel like I just want to put out positive, good things in terms of that, which is kind of why we wrote this movie, which is sort of debunks arranged marriage, like our movie. My family had it, my partner's family had it, and so really like we just put it out at Tribeca, and a lot of white people, non-Indian people watched it, and they sort of came up afterwards and they were like, oh, like I really thought arranged marriage was this like barbaric thing, and it sort of like shows you another side of it. But that really felt satisfying to be like, okay, like we were able to make something entertaining, but also, you know, hopefully debunk like a stereotype or a myth or something of Indian culture.
You give them something they can take home.
Yeah. And in terms of what, I feel like we need like an Indian studio movie that's like not even Crazy Rich Asians, but like even like an action, like a something that like lets that, because it's like it has not happened.
Like a Doom, but on this side.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. But like just to do like something which is like backed by like a big studio that has like an all brown cast. Like we're so far from that. Like I feel like in Hollywood, I have a lot of Asian friends, and that community really supports each other. And
you feel like we don't as much?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
Someone was telling me this the other day, and I was like, this kind of makes sense, I guess, to me. But that immigrant, like Indian people, are very like competitive, and they, I guess, had to struggle. They had to struggle a lot to come here, and like they don't. That's why a lot of them are vote Republican too, because they identify with this notion like nothing was handed to me, so why should I like give part of my.
Why are East Asians different? Why are Koreans and Chinese different?
I don't know. That I don't know, but I've just noticed it so much. Like I get invited to so many, like this organization Gold Open, like so many, like any Asian project, they'll be like, we're gonna support, we're gonna invite them, we're gonna have a party, we're gonna buy out a theater. It does not happen, like in my experience with like a brown sort of project. There's a sense of like almost jealousy and almost like, what are they up to there? Like,
right.
Thing. And I hope that changes. But yeah, someone was like, yeah, it sort of comes from, they feel like their parents a little bit.
So what about the test case? Like, is it true in India too? Do you think the artists there support each other more? Whether they're Bollywood or then more like the stand-up or improv, like the Karans of the world in India?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it's very competitive there too, but I was never in that industry, but just from the outside. It felt like it was very competitive for women. Like there was a lot of pitting women against each other. That I think still happens. And yeah, maybe it was more a gender thing there. Like it was never like even now I follow a few Indian Bollywood websites, and it's so interesting just to read the way they write about women versus the way they write about male stars. Like with women, it's always like, Deepika, like when are you gonna have a baby? Now that you're married, no one's asking him like when he's gonna stop like filming to like have a baby, because he doesn't have to stop, her husband.
Right.
And it's just so blatant. And then with the men, it's always about their work, like, and their achievements. And with women, it's like, what did they wear? What did they?
It's a little bit like that here too.
Yeah,
maybe more there.
It's so extreme. It's so blatant. Like it's only that for women. Like it's like always about how they looked, if they lost weight or gained weight or any of that, and less about like what they're working on. Which now, like being here, I'm just like, wow, they're much further behind in that conversation.
Yeah.
But like,
thank goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I think it starts with what you did for us today. Showing up, being here. No, for real, man, honestly, like I'm not just searching for that happy ending. It really is real. Like the fact that you said yes, that you're supporting, that's what we're trying to build here. And that
my gosh,
your name on this is a big deal for us.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Thank you.
That's how it starts. So.
Yeah.